Welcome to our second in-depth vocabulary snippet on a popular before vocabulary strategy, the semantic map. My name is Debbie.
And I'm Kim.
We will be facilitating this short session with an in-depth look at the semantic map to use before instruction. Once you complete this webinar snippet, you should be able to apply this strategy in your classroom immediately to support students building their vocabulary and concept understanding. Let's get started. We are constantly seeking feedback from the teachers viewing our series and have heard your requests for continued short strategy sessions that you can use immediately with your classroom instruction. This session is focusing on a before learning vocabulary strategy. This next several minutes will supply you with the knowledge and ideas of how to implement an evidence-based practice within your content area. Before strategies activate students' prior knowledge and set a purpose for reading. There are countless strategies that you can use to teach vocabulary. Some of the most effective strategies for students learning are the Frayer model, semantic maps, word and concept sorts, list, group, and label, and lastly, mnemonics. Today's snippet will focus entirely on the semantic mapping strategy to give you some idea of the benefits of incorporating this into your instructional practice.
The semantic mapping strategy has been identified by researchers as an excellent tool to use for drawing on background knowledge of a topic and see connections between ideas and words related to that topic. It is highly interactive and offers opportunities for collaboration among students, which increases vocabulary, improves language, vocabulary acquisition, and reading comprehension. The semantic map is a graphic organizer that can be used as a pre-reading strategy to activate prior knowledge and introduce key vocabulary words. It can also be used as a during reading activity to help your students recall the meaning of words that they read in the text. And finally, as a post-reading activity, it is used to connect words, categories, and new concepts. Students can add to the map and alter it if they need to once they've finished reading. The purpose of semantic maps is to identify and define unfamiliar concepts and vocabulary. The teacher begins the process with selecting a concept word that is central to the topic covered in the text and writes the word in the center of the template for the students to collaborate with other students and make associations. This work builds and expands students' background knowledge and makes connections between known and unknown words. The teacher has the flexibility of using scaffolded supports for students that struggle in small group work as well. For example, the background information may make relating to the new term difficult. When this happens, the teacher can provide some background knowledge about this topic to promote their brains working to think and make connections and associations. Another way to support a struggling student is to provide a list of words that are related and a list of those that are not related. Students consider and discuss each word to determine if it should be added to the semantic map. Additional benefits of semantic maps is that this is a collaborative task that provides rich opportunities for students to talk about words and how they are related. This conversation supports all learners in building vocabulary words. The task is also engaging and motivating as students discuss and share their understandings. Finally, the tool can be used beyond the before instruction learning as a reading guide to support the theme and discovery, note-taking of details, and facts of their relationship, as well as summarizing by drawing conclusions about the topic and following the process described in the text.
We're going to take a few moments to talk about the steps to explicitly teach this strategy. In the first step, you're going to explain the strategy as we mentioned before. As a suggestion, you can use a poster, whiteboard, or PowerPoint slide virtually and show an example of a semantic map. Students place a major concept or keyword in the center of the semantic map. Related words are placed in shapes around the key word. These are connected with lines or arrows to show the relationships to the major concept. In step 2, in explicit teaching of this strategy, it emphasizes the need for all teachers to model their thinking processes while using this strategy as you maneuver through the steps. Not all students can automatically process and develop an understanding of the steps to create word relationships. You are making this work transparent to support all students with use of this strategy. Let's move to the next slide to continue with the explicit teaching steps. Step 3 emphasizes the urgent need for guided practice of this strategy use. This is peppered with scaffolds for any student who struggles. A support may be any one of the following, which includes use of partners to work on during guided practice, including the use of an anchor chart identifying the steps in the process for a visual support. Providing the category topics will also set diverse learners up for success with this work. For young students, pictures can also be used in the center of the map with the word to support understanding. Guided practice also requires feedback as students practice to help them implement with fidelity. Step 4 addresses the need to periodically address major confusions with a mini lesson. This is a 3 to 5 minute explicit reteaching of a critical step, including your thinking out loud while processing the step. This clarity helps minimize any confusions and the tedious need to intervene later on. Finally, step 5, as students work toward independence, use criteria that you established in your planning to evaluate who is ready for independent work. Who is showing evidence of mastery? This does not discount the need for students to continue to reflect on their work. What were their strengths in usage, their area to continue focusing on? This reflective practice continues to support fidelity usage of the strategy as you continue on with your content instruction.
Researchers have identified the semantic map as an exceptional tool to use for increasing vocabulary and improving students' reading comprehension. Semantic maps build on the background knowledge of the students while drawing on their prior knowledge. They recognize the important components and show the relationships between the vocabulary words. Graphic organizers can be used as a pre-reading strategy to activate that prior knowledge and to introduce the key vocabulary. It can also be used as a post-reading activity to connect words, categories, and new concepts. The students can add to the map and or alter it later if they need to as they are done working. This example shows a bubble map, and this can be used in many different content areas. Science is one example where the organizer can be used to classify different types of rocks. After reading, students can organize the rocks into different categories and use this as a study guide as well. In ELA, students can map their ideas before beginning the writing process. By using the organizer, students can identify the main idea, followed by details and claims. This process of pre-writing sets students up for success by assuring that they have mapped out all of their ideas and formed the relationships required to thoroughly examine the topic along with the vocabulary and convey the ideas required and provided enough supporting evidence or details before they finalize their paper.
Semantic maps come in many forms. List Group Label categorizes listed words through grouping and labeling and helps students organize new concepts in relation to previously learned concepts. The Venn diagram is a way to organize ideas and present them graphically. Scaffolded and stretched supports, which web or frame you will select, depend on your learners and how well they will be able to respond and develop these webs and frames. Less sophisticated learners are more readily able to construct frames than semantic webs. The frames are more predictable or structured, whereas the semantic webs begin with a blank page. This is scaffolding that needs to be planned for to develop student ability to grow with this strategy use so they can sketch out and use independently on their own at some point in time in the near future. Semantic wheels are a great tool to have students understand vocabulary words. This example is from a lesson on Greek and Latin stems. In the middle of the circle, students wrote the vocabulary stem or word. They then wrote other words beginning with that stem, sub, along with the definition and the picture to represent the meaning. The hierarchical topical organizer is useful in concept-based teaching. It allows students to see the big picture, concept at the top, as well as the topics underneath, and then the facts at the bottom at a glance. The hierarchy tool can be particularly helpful when students are trying to understand the relationships between parallel ideas and the relationship to the larger picture. They also help students keep track of the details and which details associated with which main idea. The tool shown above is a main idea analysis frame, which is particularly useful to the ELA class. This is the easiest hierarchical frame to use. This tool can also be used to explore different dimensions of a concept, such as government systems, different ways governments are structured and organized. Another example is using the frame to study and develop the understanding of muckrakers, people who wrote about the problems of big business and government. You could study 3 different people as main ideas and identify supporting details as points in support of these people being identified. You can also identify various themes within a piece of literature. Lion King addressed 3 different themes: the circle of life, facing fear, and good versus evil.
There are many technology tools that can help students create semantic maps, including thinking maps, mind maps, bubble maps, and concept maps. You might want to check out the web sources on this slide, such as Webspiration, Creatively, Linuit, Notely, Idea Boards, several for you to look at there. In planning instruction with the semantic map, think about how you will propel student understanding of vocabulary forward to develop background knowledge. You will also need to think about the additional questions posted regarding types of support and stretch needed. It is not about modifying the content or the activity. It's about providing access and the opportunity to learn the background knowledge and vocabulary that is critical to supporting comprehension. One example is starting the tool for a student. Another is to provide the word and then ask the student to create their own organizer. The first provides scaffolded support, the second allows for stretch. Finally, think about how the tool can be used during and after reading to refine and review learning. This is a study tool. The websites and videos have been provided to help you dig deeper into the semantic maps. Live links for the websites and videos are located in the participation guide.
This concludes the Semantic Map snippet. We hope you found some useful ideas to propel your vocabulary work forward using semantic maps. We look forward to seeing you for additional snippets. Our next 2 snippets will focus on during instruction vocabulary strategies. We will look forward to seeing you then.